Good evening all, how are you all this evening? So, are you ready for another action-packed class? I hope you've all had a good weekend and enjoyed yourselves a lot. So, let's see, what am I going to start with today? Okay, I'm going to start with some of these idioms, which I know some of you find quite difficult. But the first one I think is reasonably easy. Okay, so the first one says, don't throw the baby out. So what comes after this? Don't throw the baby out. So, good evening, Amir. Nice to see you, nice to see you. So, don't throw the baby out. What's the rest of this phrase? Don't throw the baby out. So, good evening, Abadir. Hi. So, you need to complete the idiom. Don't throw the baby out. Don't throw the baby out. So, almost, but not with the bathtub, with the bath, because the bathtub's the container. Good evening, Manu. So you've got it, Montespan, but you made a careless mistake. Don't throw the baby out with wee. So a combination of Mike and Montespan will make it right. Good evening. So Betya. The basket. Suno, good evening. Rolfie, nice to see you. So, don't throw the baby out. Don't throw the baby out. Don't throw the baby out. Yes, Lolly, there we go. And Suno as well, son of York. Son of York. Okay, I get it. So, don't throw the baby out with the bath water. So what does this phrase mean, don't throw the baby out with the bath water? So it means that you shouldn't make such radical changes to a system that you actually lose or forget about the objective that you're trying to reach. Okay, so don't throw the baby out with the bath water. And let's try the next one. The next one says, the early bird, this one's easy. Yes, it was with your Denglish, I like it, Montespan. Okay, yes, good evening, Rizgar. Yeah, don't throw the baby out with the bath water. Together, so you throw the baby, when you're throwing the bath water out, you throw the baby out as well. Making a small change or a big change to a system because you've got a problem, and that invalidates your real purpose. So the early bird, thank you, Montespan, catches the worm. Okay, the early bird catches the worm. Okay, so this means that, well done, Lolly, gets the worm. I think that would do as well, Abadir. This means if you arrive early, if you act quickly, if you're the first to act, then you're going to be much more successful. In counter to this, some people say, but the second mouse gets the cheese. But the second mouse gets the cheese. Because the first mouse gets killed by the mouse trap. Okay, let's try the next one. Next one, an empty vessel. An empty vessel. An empty vessel. Or even very often we say empty vessels. So, Gaurav, good evening to you. And Mikhail's here as well, I believe. So, an empty vessel makes or empty vessels make... how does this one finish? An empty vessel makes what? Or empty vessels make... Good evening, Susanta. Nice to see you this evening. An empty vessel makes, or empty vessels make... so what's the answer to this one? This one means that people who protest a lot about things, or people who make a lot of noise about something, makes more noise. Well done, Rolfie. I would say makes most noise, makes more noise. I think that works very nicely. Makes much sound, makes most noise. I would go for most noise as the correct answer. So when somebody's talking, when somebody who talks a lot about something very loudly, they probably don't know a great deal about it, but somebody who knows a lot about it, maybe they say less. Yeah. Okay, let's try another one of these then. Yes, this one I like. An Englishman's home. An Englishman's home. Yeah, an Englishman's home. An Englishman's home. Good evening, Anderson. An Englishman's home. The most noise. Yes, that's correct, Suna. So, an Englishman's home. An Englishman's home. An Englishman's home. What? So, do you know this one? An Englishman's home. Okay, so is his castle. Well done, Montespan again. Yeah, an Englishman's home is his castle. Is his castle. Well done, Johnny Valencia. Yeah, okay. So this means that English people consider that their home to be sacred. It's somewhere where they can do what they want in private, and it shouldn't be invaded by the power of the state or things like that. Okay, an Englishman's home is his castle. Well done, Rizgar and Rolfie. Okay, so let's try one more of these then. What's the next one? This one's easy. Every cloud. So, every cloud. Yeah, how does this one finish? Every cloud, you know the clouds in the sky. Yeah, so, every cloud. How posh am I? I'm not very posh. I don't like to be posh, because normally people who are posh think they're better than everyone else, and I'm just a normal another regular guy. So every cloud what? Every cloud. Here we go, and again Montespan. Well done, Susanta. I would say has a silver lining, Susanta, instead of its. But I think its probably works as well. Every cloud has a silver lining. Yeah. I think I'm going to accept Susanta's as well with the it. Every cloud has a silver lining. So even if bad things happen, there are positive things about it. Yeah, okay, so every bad situation has positive aspects as well. Okay, so let's see, let's change, and what am I going to do now? Okay, I'm going to do a story. Yeah, this one's quite short today, so you'll be happier with it maybe. Okay, so the title is The Small House. Okay, The Small House. And the question is, explain why the house is small. Okay? So, yeah, a blessing in disguise. I love it. Yeah, that's a good way of describing it, Lolly. So, listen. So, Socrates, the Greek philosopher, Socrates had erected for himself, he constructed, a very modest house. Just as you would expect, one of his neighbours had to ask, "Why is it, Socrates, that someone like you, someone as famous as you, would build himself such a tiny little house?" And Socrates answered, he said, "If only I could fill it with true friends." Okay, and that's the whole story. So you just need to explain why the house is small. So, Rifman Siglo, yeah, Peru. Peru is a wonderful place. So, let me read it for you again. Socrates had erected for himself a very modest house. Just as you would expect, one of his neighbours had to ask, "Why is it, Socrates, that someone like you would build himself such a tiny little house?" And Socrates replied, "Ah, if only I could fill it with true friends." So why did he build himself a small house? What's the idea of this? Okay, well done, Mr. Amir. Difficult to have a true friend. Exactly. I think many of the people we know are they have reasons to be friendly to us. Yeah, maybe they like us, but just a bit. Yeah, but a true friend is someone who'll do anything for you. Yeah, even if you ask them for something unreasonable. But if you're their true friend, you wouldn't ask them to use up something unreasonable. Quantity is not important, but quality. I love that phrase. That's a really good phrase, Razgar. A true friend is rare. That's a nice phrase. He had few true friends. That's a good phrase. Good friends are hard to come by. Well done, Johnny. I like that phrase, hard to come by. So if something is hard to come by, it's difficult to get. The reason is possibly because it's very rare to find, Susanta. It's very rare to find true friends. You need a two, Susanta. Okay, bye, Abadir. Because he had not a lot of friends. Okay, yeah, that'll do, Manu. Not a lot of true friends. So, I think I probably ought to read this. If you continue posting your answers, I will try and correct them for you as they come up. So, here we go. Okay, so this is about Socrates's, yeah, it's a sad story, Rolfie. So, let's see. True friends are a rare commodity these days. Yeah, so it's a sad story, but it's sadly true, Rolfie. Yeah, people are very selfish. So let's see what you've got. Oh, he was not into pomposity and showing off. You need an ing. A true friend is there on the moon. Okay, yes, that's a different way of putting it, but the grammar's fine. So let me read this story. Socrates had erected for himself a very modest house. Just as you would expect, one of his neighbours had to ask, felt the necessity to ask, "Why is it, Socrates, that someone like you would build himself such a tiny little house?" "Ah," said Socrates, "if only I could fill it with true friends." Okay, so it's the language of this one's reasonably easy. I think would here would want to build, or something like that, yeah? And one of his neighbours had to ask, one of his neighbours felt the necessity, yeah? To erect, to construct, to build. Modest. Okay, a person can be modest, but you could say a modest meal, a small meal. Okay, my mind out of order, good evening. Okay, so that was the story. It was quick and easy today. Let's change again and let's try something different. Okay, so this is a pronunciation exercise. So let's just get rid of that. And I'm going to look at 3 words: kɔʊd, kɔːd, and kəʊd. I've been fine, thank you, mind out of order. So, kɔʊd, kɔːd, kəʊd. U, or, o. So, u, or, o. Kɔʊd, kɔːd, kəʊd. So, Rolfie, there's no point in living in a cage made of gold and diamond with everything but love. That's a really good sentence. So, I'm going to say one of these 3 words and you need to identify it. Kɔʊd, kɔːd, kəʊd. U, or, o. So, kɔʊd, kɔɔd, kɔɔd. 1, 2, or 3. Kɔɔd, 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 kɔɔd. Okay, kɔʊd, kɔɔd, kəʊd. But the word I want, which one am I saying? Kɔɔd, kɔɔd, kɔɔd. Okay, to wage war is to conduct a war against people. So, good evening, Elena. Unfortunately, it's not kɔʊd. And Johnny and Manu and Lolly and Montespan and Rizgar and Confucia and Ralphie and Mr. Emir and Lolly are correct. It's kɔɔd. So let's make this a little bit more difficult. Let's put it in a sentence for you now. So, here we go. Yeah. Wage war, it means to conduct a war, to have a war against somebody. The people of Vietnam waged war against the French, and then they waged war against the Americans. So, good evening, Victor, you're here. So, the man said kɔʊd, the man said kɔɔd, the man said kəʊd. 3 sentences. I'm going to say one of them for you. So, the man said kɔʊd, the man said kɔʊd, the man said kɔʊd, the man said kɔʊd. So, which sentence? 1, 2, or 3? The man said kɔʊd, the man said kɔʊd. So, I'm sure you're going to be able to identify this one. The man said kɔʊd. 1, 2, or 3? So, Montespan says 1. What does everyone else think? I think Montespan's got the best connection here. So, Victor Gabriel says kɔʊd, Elena says kɔʊd, Mike says kɔʊd, the man said kɔʊd. Well done, Johnny, well done, Ralphie. Exactly. The man said kɔʊd, not the man said kɔɔd, and not the man said kəʊd. Well done, Mr. Amir and Razgar and Manu. So, let's try the next sentence. So, the next sentence, well, what does kɔʊd mean? What does kɔɔd mean? What does kəʊd mean? So, yes, the man said kɔʊd. Well done, Rolfie. I'm glad you can hear the difference, Gabriel. So, the 3 sentences, they still haven't appeared on the screen yet, but they should any second now. Here they come. So, what does kɔʊd mean? What does kɔɔd mean? What does kəʊd mean? So, what does kɔʊd mean? What does kɔʊd mean? What does kɔʊd mean? What does kɔʊd mean? So, which one is the correct one of these? What does kɔʊd mean? What does kɔʊd mean? What does kɔʊd mean? So, Elena, you say 3. Montespan says 2. Rolfie says 3. What does kɔʊd mean? What does kɔʊd mean? Victor Gabriel goes for 2. Lolly goes for 2. Rizgar goes for 3. Amir goes for 3. Susanta goes for 2. It's number 2. It's this second one. What does kɔʊd mean? What does kɔʊd mean? Number 3 what does kəʊd mean? Kəʊd. What does kəʊd mean? What does kɔʊd mean? So 2. What does kɔʊd mean? 3. What does kəʊd mean? Kɔʊd, kəʊd. What does kɔʊd mean? What does kəʊd mean? Okay, let's try one more of these. Okay, the next one, we need to know the word kɔdd. Okay, so the next one is kɔdd not kɔdd, kɔord not kɔdd, kəʊd not kɔdd. Kɔdd, C-O-D, it's a type of fish. Yeah, a very tasty type of fish. Kɔdd, it's quite a big fish as well. Yeah? Okay, so kɔdd not kɔdd, kɔord not kɔdd, kəʊd not kɔdd, kɔdd not kɔdd, kɔord not kɔdd, kəʊd not kɔdd. Yeah, so, yeah, what does kɔdd mean? Unfortunately, no, it was what does kɔdd mean, out of mind, out of order. So let's get back to what we were doing here. Kɔdd not kɔdd, kɔord not kɔdd, kəʊd not kɔdd. So now identify. Kɔdd not kɔdd, kɔdd not kɔdd, kɔdd not kɔdd, kɔdd not kɔdd, kɔdd not kɔdd. So which one am I saying? Kɔdd not kɔdd, kɔdd not kɔdd, kɔdd not kɔdd. There. Kɔdd not kɔdd, 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 kɔdd not kɔdd. So which one is these? So Montespan's going for 3. Elena's going for 3. Yes. Confucia. Kɔdd not kɔdd. Well done, Johnny Lolly. Yes, Susanta. Kodd's a fish. Kɔdd not kɔdd. Well done, Rizgar. Manu. Rolfie. Yeah? Okay, so well done, Lolly and Susanta. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, let's try, I think maybe one more of these, and then we will change again. So this is an easy sentence as well. Whoops. Okay, so this sentence is kɔdd begins with C, kɔord begins with C, kəʊd begins with C. So number 1, kɔdd begins with C. Number 2, kɔord begins with C. Number 3, kəʊd begins with C. Okay, so number 1, kɔdd begins with C. Number 2, kɔord begins with C. Number 3, kəʊd begins with C. So I'm about to start. I'm about to say one of these 3. Kɔdd begins with C. Kɔdd begins with C. Kɔdd begins with C. 1, 2 or 3. Kɔdd begins with C. Kɔdd begins with C. Kɔdd begins with C. Kɔdd begins with C. After this we'll do some simple questions. So kɔdd begins with C. Kɔdd begins with C. Kɔdd begins with C. Which one is this? Kɔdd begins with C. So Montespan is going for 2. Computer is going for 2. Chiara is going for 1. And Elena is going for 1 as well. Lolly for 2. Razgar for 2. Johnny for 2. Riffman Siegler goes for 1. Ant the Panda goes for 1. Razgar is going for 2. So it's number 2. It's number 2. Kɔʊd. It's number 2. Yeah? It's not kɔʊd, it's kɔʊd. Kɔʊd begins with C. Kɔʊd begins with C. Kɔʊd. Not could. Not could begins with C, but kɔʊd begins with C. So, well done, Manna King. Yeah, well done, Rizgar. So, okay. That's enough of these. And let's change and let's find some simple questions for you to do. So, okay. First question, easy question. What would you do with salt? 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 So, can you answer the question? I know you know the answer, but can you understand what I'm saying? That's the problem. So, what would you do with salt? 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 Okay, that's good. Yes, Susanta. This is practice. This is a place where you can get things wrong and nothing happens. It's not a problem. Okay, Lolly. I would definitely cook with salt. I would definitely cook with salt. Yeah. You would wash your body with salt. No, that's soap. So notice the question. The problem with this question I put here is my pronunciation of salt. 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 It's almost like this or sound. Salt. Yeah? Salt. Not soap, Rolfie. No, salt. Well, I guess you could wash your hands with salt, but I prefer to do it with soap. No, what would you do with salt? Salt. Yeah? Salt. The thing that you can get from the sea. Salt. What would you do with salt? Salt. Note it. Yes, to make breakfast, lunch and dinner. Okay, this was a difficult question because this word salt is like fault or halt. Yeah? Okay. So you can't use salt because you have high blood pressure. Me too. I'd love to eat with salt, but I don't use salt very much. Sodium chloride, salt. But notice the pronunciation. Okay, next one's easier. I would cook a good meal. Sounds great. That's great, Gaurav. Somebody is spamming the chat box. Nah. I thought it may be soup. No, salt. So next question. Where would you find plankton? Where would you find plankton? Exactly, Susanta. Salt. Salt. So, where would you find plankton? Where would you find plankton? Yes, but that's the problem, Ant Panda. Salt. No, it's salt. In British English, salt. Okay, so next question. Where would you find plankton? Where would you find plankton? Chennai. I've been to Chennai. Okay, in the sea. So, where would you find plankton? So, Confucius. Yes. In the ocean. Johnny, yes. In the sea. In the nature. Notice, Lolly. General concepts, nature, you don't use the word the. Love is more important than money. Know the. Plankton, plankton, at the bottom of the sea, in the ocean. Plankton in the water. So, this is really good. This is really good. We've got lots and lots of correct answers. Okay, let's try another one of these then. What does a plumber do? 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 Fair. No matter sea or ocean, I quite agree. So, what does a plumber do? What does a plumber do? An ocean is bigger than the sea. I'm certain there's a technical difference, Johnny. So, yes, question. What does a plumber do? What does a plumber do? There's a silent letter in this word. So, what does a plumber do? A plumber. Pipes, Confucius. Out of my mind. No, the plumber. No, it's a plumber. This is the person who fixes pipe-related issues, fixes tubes, repairs the sink. Plumber makes furniture for house or kitchen. No, the plumber is the person you call when your pipes are blocked. He's the person who deals with water and pipes and things like that. Yeah, flue pipes. I guess a plumber would work with flue pipes. He works connecting pipes. I love that, Araceli. A clogged sink, to fix clogged sink, absolutely. Fixes your pipes when water is leaking, absolutely. So I need to actually place this question here. Plumber. Notice the B in plumber is silent. Plumber. And this plumb bit, well, in English it's because of the word lead, which in Latin is plumbus. Yeah, the bathroom, absolutely. Mannequin. Okay, so come on then, let's try one more of these. Okay, so what does a plumber do? He fixes your pipes. He fixes your sink. Yeah. So let's see. Next one. What would you do with a crystal ball? 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 What's the difference in pipe and tube? I think a tube is just round, and I think a pipe carries something normally inside it. So, last question before we finish. What would you do with a crystal ball? What would you do with a crystal ball? Plumber is Johnny Sins. So, what would you do with a crystal ball? Good evening, Ermin. Ermin. Predicting the future. I think I would say predict the future. To see the future. Yes, absolutely, Lolly. So, I would predict the future if I could. To see the future. Witchcraft, yeah. Witchcraft. You could probably do witchcraft with a crystal ball. To cool the souls. A crystal ball. Yeah, not a bowl, but a ball, a crystal ball. So I need to paste this question here. What would you do with a crystal ball? I will foresee the future with a crystal ball out of my mind. So, Rathmania Siglo, to read someone's future, that's good. Fortune teller, to predict the future. To read the future, yes, very definitely. So, yes, you have a crystal ball, and the medium or the fortune teller looks into it, and they see the future. So, my friends, that's enough for today. I hope to see you all next week, same time, same channel. Okay, so thank you all so much for coming. It's been wonderful to see you all, and I will see you all next week. Well done, good work. Bye bye.